You know, I wish I would have had this information when I first started out. Instead, I spent almost 15 years struggling financially. But by applying the exact same secrets of the Millionaire Mind that you're about to learn here, I became very wealthy, and now you can do that too. The secret is in something called your money blueprint. And in the next hour, I'm going to show you how to identify your own money blueprint and reset it for wealth, freedom, and financial security for the rest of your life. Now, let me define money blueprint for you. It's simply the way you think, feel, and act about money. And this applies to everyone, whether you're a plumber, or a doctor, a CEO, or you're retired. Again, it's how you think about money. And it doesn't matter whether you have a lot of education or very little. Now, I know this sounds way too good to be true, but I promise you, if you stay with me, you will know without a doubt in every cell of your body that it is your money blueprint that is the real root cause of financial success, mediocrity, or failure. And you will also understand how your money blueprint determines your feelings around money, including your fears, your worries, and even possible feelings of guilt. It is the same blueprint that creates your habits and determines whether you're a saver or a spender, a good money manager or a poor money manager, and whether you end up living on a meager fixed income or you retire rich. In short, your money blueprint determines your financial life. And by the end of this program, you will know exactly why you might not be reaching your full financial potential and exactly what to do about it. So, let's learn about the psychology of wealth. It's very important to realize that we live in a world of duality. What's the word, please? Duality. Thank you. Duality. Give me some examples. Up and down, right and left, light and dark, short and tall, rich and poor, male, female, black and white, perfect. Take right and left. Is it possible to have a right side without a left side? Right of what? You see, it's a comparison. So just as there are outer laws to money, therefore there must be what? Inner laws. You know what? The fact is, most people do not reach their full potential. Most people are not successful. 80% of us will never be financially free in the way we would like to be free, and 80% of us will never claim to be truly, truly happy. And there's a reason. Would you like to know what it is? Yes. The reason is simple. Most people are slightly unconscious. They live only on a very superficial level of life, only based in the visible world, only based in what they can see. So as you can see, we have a tree, and this is called the tree of life. And on this tree grows what? Fruits. In real life, our fruits are called our results. So we take a look at our fruits or results, and we don't like them. They don't taste good. There's not enough of them. They're too small. What do we tend to do? Don't we tend to focus more and more of our energy on those fruits, on the results? Yes or yes? Yes. But let me ask you a question. What is it that caused those particular fruits? It's what? It's those roots that cause those fruits. It's what's under the ground that creates what's above the ground. It's what's invisible that creates what's visible. In nature, is that sometimes or all the time? All the time. How many of you would agree that human beings are nature? So with us, is that sometimes or all the time? All the time. Excellent. Meaning if you want to change the fruits, where are you going to have to put your attention? On the roots. Thank you. Now, one of the most important things I believe you can ever understand is that we don't live in only one realm alone. We live in at least 4 different worlds at once. Help me out here, please. We live in the mental world. What's the word, please? Mental. Excellent. We live in the emotional world. We live in the spiritual. And absolutely, we live in the what? Physical, material world. And what most people never understand or get, or if they do get it, they don't use it, is that your physical, material world is nothing more than a printout. What's the word, please? Printout. Excellent. A printout of the other 3 areas. These are the fruits, but these are the roots that cause those fruits. This is what's visible, but this is what's invisible that causes what's visible. Here's another way of saying it. Nothing happens here before it first happens here. How many understand what I'm talking about? Excellent. So the fact is that money, real stuff, yes? Yes. Money is a result. Wealth is a result. Health is a result. Illness is a result. Your weight is a what? So we live in a world of cause and effect. So it boils down to this, that the only way to permanently, what's the word please? Permanently change your outer world is to first change your inner world. So let's give that some energy by doing a declaration together. Now, what's a declaration? It's a statement that you make out loud, thank you. Why do we do this? Because every statement has its own energy, either positive or negative. And what you put out is what you get back. Again, we live in a world of cause and effect. And when we put out positive statements, we attract positive results. Now, these declarations will make a powerful shift in your life. And now, I realize that a lot of you might be thinking, oh my gosh, is this ever hokey? But the way I figure it is I'd rather be really hokey and really rich than really cool and really broke. How about you? All right, so you want to do the declaration?
Yes.
All right, repeat after me. My inner world creates my outer world.
My inner world creates my outer world.
Excellent. I want to share with you something called the process of manifestation, or how we create our results. Your thoughts lead to your feelings, which lead to your actions, and all of that leads to your results. Can you say that with me, please? Your thoughts lead to feelings, lead to. Now, each of us has a personal money and success blueprint already ingrained in our subconscious mind. And my friends, it is this blueprint, more than anything and everything else combined, that will determine your financial life. What that means is you can be the best business person, the best negotiator, you can be the best marketer, the best salesperson, you can be the best communicator, you can be the best manager, you can be the best at your job. You can know everything about real estate, you can know everything about stocks and bonds and other kinds of investments, you can have years of financial experience, you can already be retired or close to it. But if your subconscious money blueprint isn't preset for a high level of success, you will never, what's the word please?
Never.
You will never amass a large amount of money, and if by chance you do, you will somehow manage to lose it. Can I give you an example? Raise your hand if you've heard of somebody by the name of Donald Trump. Multi-billionaire. He loses everything and more. 2 years later, he's got it all back again and more. Why? Because his money blueprint is preset for high. On the other side of the coin, we have lottery winners. We've all heard the stories, yes? They win 5, 10, 50, $100 million. 5 years later, virtually half of them are right back to where they started. Why? Their money blueprint is set for low. And this is why often older people end up losing their money or being broke. Here's a story that just blew my mind. I had a widow come up to me in my seminar, and she and her husband had saved all their lives for retirement, and they did fairly well. But almost the minute that her husband passed away, things started to go downhill quickly. Their investments started to falter, his company pension plan had dried up, and the medical bills all came due at once. Within 60 days, she was virtually broke. What I discovered is that she grew up dirt poor, and she watched her parents age in poverty. And with a few more questions, I realized that her husband's money blueprint was set for decent success. But her money blueprint was set for dead broke, which is exactly what was happening. Thank goodness we were able to reset her blueprint and move her into a brand new direction. The good news is you can actually change your money blueprint. By the way, you've already started by acknowledging you have a money blueprint and by making the declarations you're learning today. Just so you know, money isn't the only blueprint that you've got. You've also got a relationship blueprint, a health blueprint, and even a happiness blueprint already ingrained in your subconscious mind. So, let's talk about how your blueprint is formed. The blueprint is formed primarily based on the programming you received in the past, especially as a young child. Help me out here. Who are some of the primary sources of this information? Parents, good. Who else? Authority figures, siblings, who else?
Teachers.
Yes, teachers, religious leaders, media, culture, friends, thank you. Take culture. Isn't it true that certain cultures have a certain way of thinking and dealing with money, yes?
Yes.
And that other cultures have a completely different way of thinking and dealing with money, yes?
Yes.
And let me ask you a question. Does a child come out of the womb doing money that way, or were they taught how to do money? Thank you. The fact is, we were all taught how to do money. And the issue is that most of us were taught by people who either didn't have a lot of money or they had a lot of emotional issues around it. And their ways of thinking became our ways of thinking. All right, let's talk about how we're conditioned. 3 primary methods of conditioning. There's verbal programming, there's modeling, and there's specific incidents. Verbal programming. That's all about what did you hear when you were young? What messages did you get? Modeling. That's all about what did you see when you were young? And specific incidents. What did you experience when you were young around money, success, wealth, and rich people? Let's start with verbal programming. What were the phrases or messages that you heard about money and success and rich people when you were growing up? Raise your hand and let me know if you heard this one. Money is the root of all evil. Excellent. We got one there. Rich people are greedy. You have to work hard to make money. That's a really popular one. You can't be rich and spiritual. Excellent. Money doesn't buy happiness. Money doesn't bring love. How about this one? Money doesn't grow on trees. And I suppose nobody but me ever heard this one. We can't afford it. Excellent. Want to hear my father's favorite? Anytime I asked him for anything, he'd snarl at me, go, hey, what am I, making money? I used to joke around with him. I say, I wish. I'll take an arm, a leg. I'll take a baby finger, Dad. He never laughed once. Anyway, in addition to the generic messages that we heard, we also heard about stereotype messages. For example, if you're a man, maybe the message that you somehow got was that your job in life is to be a provider. And if you're not financially successful, you're not a real man. Now, whether you became financially successful or not, how has it felt to have that pressure on you? What have you missed out of in your life? Your family, your fun, your inner peace, because of the stress of what you were conditioned to believe about putting bread on the table. And yet, this is simply a blueprint you've been running. With the lessons you're learning in this program, it can change. In my experience, when you've got money handled, it positively affects every other part of your life. How many of you would agree? Now, excellent. So maybe the message you got was, you don't need a lot of money because when you retire, the government is going to take care of you. You know what? Let me say this. Maybe that made some sense in the past, but as most of us know, the government is almost bankrupt, and I suspect that it won't be long before the Social Security bin is bankrupt too. Then what are you going to do? Newsflash, trusting your financial life to someone else is not a strategy for wealth. So, here's a wealth step that will help you change your money blueprint. Are you ready? First, it's important for you to know that all change begins with awareness. Very difficult to change something unless you know that it exists. I want you to take a piece of paper, and I want you to create a T-chart. Let me show you what that's going to look like. A T-chart looks like this. And I'm going to ask you to write down on this side all of the non-supportive statements you heard or the messages you got about wealth and money and rich people when you were young. All the ones that are non-supportive, I want you to write on this side. Yes? Yes. And then for each one of those, I want you to write a much more empowering point of view. Now, I'm not saying that this is your point of view today. It may or may not be. But objectively, a much more empowering point of view. Let's see if we have some examples over here. Here's a good example. Rich people are what? Greedy, and we can change that to rich people are generous. Here's another one. It takes money to make money. Let's change that to it takes creativity to make money. By the way, just so you know, talk about creativity, people go, that's not true. It takes money to make money. Really? How many hundreds? No. Let's make that thousands. No. Let's make that tens of thousands of people have come to this wonderful country, immigrants. They came with nothing, and in a few years, they're fairly rich. Yes or yes?
Yes.
They didn't have money. They didn't have anything. It takes what? Creativity to make money. And the next one goes, I'm too old to make a change. And we can change that to, I'm never too old to learn. Now, after you do this, what I want you to do is I want you to read the positive statements out loud 3 times each every single day. For how long? Until you're rich. Again, words have power. Words have what?
Power.
And these declarations will eventually become saturated into the neurological pathways of your mind. And all of a sudden, you will find yourself making new decisions, and with new choices come new results. All right, well, let's talk about modeling. Question: what were your parents or guardians like in the arena of money when you were growing up? Did one or both of them manage money well, or did they mismanage money? Were they spenders, or were they savers? Were they shrewd investors, or were they non-investors? Let me ask you this. Did money come fairly easily in your household, or was it always a struggle? Let me ask you this one. Was money a source of joy in your home too, or was it a source of bitter arguments? Why are we talking about this? Why is it important? Well, how many of you ever heard the saying, monkey see, monkey do? And of course, humans aren't far behind. So generally, we will tend to be exactly like one or a combination of both of our parents in the arena of money, unless we go exactly the opposite. Now, why would someone go the opposite? That's right. Well, it depends on how angry you were at them. By the way, if you're a baby boomer or a senior, one of the simplest reasons you may not be reaching your full financial potential is that your parents or even yourself went through the Great Depression. In which case, because there was never enough, you might be a saver or even a hoarder and overly cautious, meaning you probably don't take advantage of excellent opportunities when they come your way. Or you could have gone the opposite route and became a spender. Why? Because maybe the attitude was, hey, it's going to go anyways, we might as well blow it and have a good time. Of course, neither of these money blueprints work, and this modeling could actually be the main reason you've never reached your full financial potential. Next, let's talk about specific incidents and how a single experience can determine your entire financial life. This next story comes from another seminar attendee. She told me the story that when she was 8 years old, she would hear the clanging of the ice cream truck coming down to the street. She would run to her mom and ask her mom for a quarter, and her mom would say, sorry dear, I don't have any money. Go ask Dad. Dad's got all the money. She'd run over to Dad, she'd go get her quarter, she'd go to get her ice cream. She was a happy camper. Next week, she'd hear the clanging of the ice cream truck come down the street. She would run to her mom and ask her mom for a quarter, and her mom would say, help me out here now. Sorry, dear, I don't have any what? Money. Go ask your dad. Dad's got all the money. She'd run on over to Dad. She'd go get her quarter. She'd go get her ice cream. She was a happy camper. Question, what did she learn about money? First, that men have all the money. So when she first got married, what do you think she expected of her husband? Yeah, it wasn't quarters anymore. Somehow she graduated, all right? What's the second thing she learned? That women what? Women don't have money. Mom, the deity, the model, didn't have any money. Therefore, the way for a good woman to be is not to have any money. And to validate that way of being, she had to do what? Get rid of any money that she had. And money, of course, was the only thing that she and her husband ever fought about. And it almost cost them their marriage. Thank goodness they used our program and completely reconditioned each of their own money blueprints, and more importantly, they learned how to create a third blueprint that worked for their relationship. And they've never had another financial disagreement since. So here's the big question. What is your current money blueprint set for? Well, how can you tell? Simple. Look at your results. Look at the fruits. That will tell you what the roots are set for. Look at the house. That will tell you what the blueprint looks like. Let me put it this way. If the temperature in the room is set for 72 degrees, chances are the thermostat is set for how much, guys? 72. Now here's where it gets interesting. Is it possible, because it's really cold outside and the windows are open, that the temperature in that room could, say, go down to 65 degrees? Yes, but what will eventually happen? That thermostat will kick in and drive that temperature right back to 72. Yes or yes? Yes. Now, is it possible, because it's very hot outside and the windows are open, that the temperature in that room could, say, get to 77 degrees? Yes, but what will eventually happen? The thermostat will kick in and drive that temperature right back to 72. Meaning that the only way to permanently, what's the word, please? Permanently change the temperature in that room is to change that what? Thermostat. And the only way to permanently change your financial life is to change your financial thermostat, otherwise known as your money blueprint. Now, when we come back, I will show you how wealthy people think very differently than most others and how to adopt those ways for you to reach your full financial potential. So stay with me. We call it the process of manifestation. Do you remember? Your thoughts lead to your feelings, which lead to your actions, which lead to your results. Meaning, again, it all begins with the way you think. So what we're going to do is we're going to examine some of the ways that rich and successful people think very differently than unsuccessful people, in order to consider adopting those ways of thinking and resetting our financial blueprints. Now, we're going to call these ways of thinking wealth secrets. Good or good? Good. All right, let's begin. Rich and successful people believe, I create my life. And unsuccessful people believe, life happens to me. If you want to create real success, it is imperative that you believe that you are at the steering wheel of your life. You have to believe that you are the one who creates your success, you are the one who creates your mediocrity, and you are the one creating any financial struggle. But instead of taking full responsibility for their lives, most people instead, they play the role of the victim. What's it say, please? Victim. Now, victims usually leave 3 indelible clues. So the first one they seem to have in common is they often do a lot of this. What's the word, please? Blame things. They blame the economy. They blame their type of business. They blame the stock market. They blame the real estate market. They blame the city they live in. They blame the taxes or the government or their employee or their employer. They blame their manager. They blame their partner. They blame their upline. They blame their downline. They blame their husband. They blame their wives, their boyfriend, their girlfriend. It's always something else. It's always someone else. And everyone wants to blame their parents for something. Or they do this. What's the word, please? Thank you. They justify their situation by saying something like, well, you know, money's not all that important. Well, let me ask you a question. If you said that your husband or your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend wasn't that important, would they be around for very long? I don't think so, and neither would what? Money. If you didn't think having an RV was important, would you buy one? Would you have one? Of course not. If you didn't think having a pet parrot was important, would you buy one? Would you have one? Of course not. If you don't think money's important, would you have any? Of course not. You know what? You can actually dazzle your friends with this information. Next time one of your friends comes up to you and says something like that money's not important, here's what I want you to do. I want you to put your hand on your forehead, look up to the heavens and go, you're broke. And they're going to go, how did you know? And you're going to go, what else do you want to know? That'll be $50, please. You have a whole new business. Of course they're broke. Let me say this right now. Anybody who says money's not important doesn't have any. And of course there's going to be people who go, well, it's not as important as love. What's the comparison? You know, what's more important, your arm or your leg? Maybe they're both important in what they do, yes or yes? Yes. All right. Now, here's the next one. The third one is this. What's it say, please? Complain. Excellent. Complain. Let me say this right now. Complaining is the absolute worst possible thing you could do for your health or your wealth. The worst. Why? There's a universal principle that says, what you focus on expands. Would you please repeat that with me? What you focus on expands. Hey, good job. Now, when you are complaining, tell me, what are you focusing on? What's right with your life or what's wrong with your life? You're focusing on what's wrong with your life. And since what you focus on expands, now what are you going to get more of? What's right with your life or what's wrong with your life? You're going to get more of what's wrong with your life. When you are complaining, you turn into this big, giant garbage magnet. And have you ever noticed that complainers usually have a crummy life? Yes? And they go, well, of course I complain. Look how crummy my life is. And now you know better, so you can say, no, it's because you complain that your life is so crummy. Shut up and don't stand near me. So here are some wealth steps that will change your blueprint and change your life. First of all, no complaining for 7 full days. Not in here and not out here. Now, by the way, it has to be 7 full days. Why? Because you still might have some residual garbage coming to you from before. Because garbage doesn't travel at the speed of light, you know. It travels at the speed of garbage, and it's really, really slow. Okay, yes? Now, here's what you have to understand. It's your choice. Say, it's my choice.
It's my choice.
You can be a victim or you can be rich, but you cannot be both. So you choose. Because every single time that you blame or you justify or you complain, you are slitting not only your financial throat, but your happiness and your health throat as well. Let me give you another wealth step along with this one. This is very simple. Start taking full responsibility for everything that is happening in your life, especially when it comes to your money. Good or good?
Good.
All right. Let's do a declaration together. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, here it goes. It says this. I am creating the exact level of my financial success. Let me hear you.
I am creating the exact level of my financial success.
Excellent. Next, we're going to do an exercise. Here's what I want you to do. I want you to think of your financial goals in terms of 2 things. The first one is in terms of, let's say, income. What's the word, please? Income. And the second one is in terms of your net worth. So take a moment just to think about this, everyone. And I'm going to give you a couple examples. Let's say that one of your financial goals for income is that, you know, you want to earn, say, $100,000 a year. Not good or not bad, just say $100,000 a year. That's an example, yes?
Yes.
And let's say your goal for net worth might be $1 million. Is that possible?
Yes.
All right, good. Now, here's another wealth secret. Rich and successful people, they play the money game to win. Most other people play not to lose. Here's the thing. Most people actually play the money game on defense versus offense. In sports, let me ask you a question. Anytime you play any game strictly on defense, tell me, what are your chances of actually winning that game? Very slim and very none. And most people's primary concern is survival and security. So what is your goal? What is your true objective? What is your intention? Wealthy people's intention is to create abundance. Most broke people, their intention is to have enough to pay the bills or just get by, or I just want to earn a decent living. And you know what? Due to the power of intention, that's exactly what you're going to get and not a dime more. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This is why I have a very, very deep concern with older people setting the intention that they're going to live on a government or company pension. Let me say this right now. Settling for that is usually what I call a result of the scrimp and save blueprint. You know what? To me, it's a shame. We have millions of fairly healthy, incredibly intelligent older people in this country who basically have traded their dreams for security. And here's the thing. Their entire lives revolve around their budget. I don't mean to judge, but as far as I'm concerned, that stinks. What a way to live, where your budget runs you. Does anybody know what I'm talking about here? You know what? Let me say this right now. This is all a fear-based blueprint coming up. Yes or yes?
Yes.
Yet the fact is that we have had dozens, if not hundreds of seniors create more wealth in only 2 years than they have in their last 50 years. It's all about your intention. It's all about how you think.